So I've been playing a lot of Dragon Quest XI recently, and one of the things this game gets so right are the towns and cities. All of them look unique, are big, and just a whole lot of fun to explore. And since my favorite thing to do in video games is exploration, especially cities and towns, I want to tell you all about my favorite cities in each of the mainline Pokémon games. One thing I like about the Kanto region is how urban it is. I really like big cities, probably because I haven't grown up and lived in one. So my first instinct was to take Saffron City as my favorite, but looking at it, it wasn't really as big as I remembered, and when I talk about size, I also talk about the amount of things to do in a city, and the amount of time you spend there in-game, which sadly is where Saffron City lacks. Sure, it has the terrible Silphco dungeon as well as the fighting dojo, which serves as a unique second gym, but looking at everything, I had to pick Saladin City as my favorite. You have to visit it before Saffron City to get the beverage for the thirsty gods, meaning this is your first impression of a big city in this game, and it does an amazing job at that, because there is just so much stuff to do here. Firstly, you have the gym and many big houses to explore, and then you also have a giant shopping center, which I always adore in video games, because I'm one of the weird people who like inventory management and spending virtual currencies, as well as the game corner, which even on the old Game Boy featured an actual minigame to waste all your virtual money and actual time on. Distractions like this are my favorite thing in RPGs, and I like that with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, we kinda got something like that again with Mantine Surf, so I hope future Pokémon games don't ever leave me wanting. Even though I really like all big cities, Goldenrod City isn't my favorite in Johto. Even despite so many interesting story sections happening there, like the tunnel or the radio tower. Instead I chose Ecruteak City, since it perfectly encapsulates the Johto region with its older Japanese-style buildings and atmosphere. I like the dance theater, where you battle against the kimono gods and their evolutions, the ghost-type gym, which for some reason completely ignores the existence of Misdreavus, as well as the burnt tower, where you first meet the legendary beasts Raikou, Entei and Suicune. What a great moment that was, especially coming from the three birds that were just randomly sitting in late-game dungeons. And while the city is already beautiful in the original games, the remakes really did a great job with the golden leaves, especially on the Bellchime Trail. Now don't get me wrong when I say this, I really like Hoenn as a region. The atmosphere, the regional diversity, the Pokémon, the music, but I don't really love any of the cities here. Of course I first thought of Fortree City, but I really dislike navigating through there, and I cannot help but feel that the idea of a city in the trees could have been realized much more interestingly. Another city I thought of was Pacific Lock Town, but without anything important or interesting to do here, I just didn't enjoy the city too much, which is weird since I really love Lurlin Village in Breath of the Wild, which is kinda similar I think. I also like the museum and fish market of Slateport City really much, but in the end I decided on Lily Cove City, because there's simply quite a lot of stuff to do here with the shopping center and the contest hall. My favorite parts are the art museum and the small hotel though, which I always like to visit because it kinda reminds me of our family trips to the North Sea. All in all, Lily Cove City is a great city. I already said I like the bigger cities, and Sinnoh has quite a few of those with Veilstone City, Hearthhome City and Jubilife City, which, although it isn't my favorite, is great because of its central location, meaning you'll return here quite often and always leave it in different directions. Jubilife City is also great because you come here before even getting a badge, making this one of the earliest large cities in the franchise. My favorite city is Eterna City though, even though I'm not quite sure why. I like the music, I like the biking theme, and I like how green this city is, probably because of the grass gym. Rounding this peaceful embodiment of Sinnoh off is the statue of either Dialga or Palkia in the eastern part of the town, giving you some nice little lore. For Unova, there is no competition for me, which doesn't mean that I only like one town, quite the opposite actually. This is where the different towns and cities really started to look unique, which of course gave each of them a whole different atmosphere. And although I pretty much love all of the towns, Castelia City just takes the whole cake. This is the first actually gigantic city of the Pokémon franchise, so there's just an absurdly ridiculous amount of stuff to see and do. If you're like me, you'll probably spend hours here exploring every room of every building and talking to everybody you see. It also really nails the feeling of a busy town, with dozens of NPCs walking around in some places, while other parts of it, like the back alley, are much more quiet. I still distinctly remember seeing footage of that town on Pokémon Sunday back in the day, which was the very first footage of Pokémon Black and White we got, and from that moment on I was really excited about these games. And in Black and White 2, the city was even expanded, with some more hidden areas, as well as a classical sewer dungeon, which always drives me crazy because it's so big and confusing and I want to get every item and find every trailer and it's just terrible and I love it. The other cities I really like and want to tell you about are Accumula Town, which I mostly love because of the musical gimmick of NPC musicians adding layers to the music once you talk to them. Sadly, they kinda ruined this in Black and White 2. Next is Aspertia City, which is the first really big starting town for the Pokémon games. The music is really nice, as well as the overview plateau, giving you a nice view of the nature, which works really well with the different seasons. Lantimus Town is great because it feels really different from anything that was done before, and the gimmick of Opaloosa City, looking vastly different in the two versions, is really well done and I wish they did more version differences like this. Wow, I just realized I could talk forever about the Unova regions and the 5th generation games, but we have to move on. I know this is a very controversial town, but I have to say that I absolutely love Lumiere City. I've never been to Paris, and obviously exploring the city in a 3DS game doesn't remotely come true to the real experience, but I really appreciated this detailed depiction of a romanticized version of the city. I think I've visited every cafe and place here twice, and I'm already looking forward to doing it again when I will eventually replay X and Y. And even though it kind of feels like a waste of my time, it just makes me love this city even more. Especially all the obscure and confusing alleys everywhere really made this place feel like an actual city, and I just love that there are quite a few trainers everywhere that you can battle. Kind of makes me wish for a Pokémon game that plays entirely in one gigantic city. If you aren't keen on exploring anything, I guess this town is just really confusing and annoying, with little of interest to do. And I expect the eventual remakes of X and Y to fix a lot of stuff here, like the loading zones and the camera control, so we can all look forward to that in 20 years. But one thing I really love that happens in this town is the post-game episode with Luca and Emma, which was just absolutely phenomenal and shows us how great Pokémon games can be at telling a compelling and interesting story. I just wish there had been more of that in the Kalos region. Another town I have to mention is Snowball City, because I love winter and winter-themed areas, and the music is just fantastic. Also, I'm absolutely in love with the giant mill in Dendermill Town. Although I love all the cities of the Alola region, there were just way too few of them to really satisfy me, so I hope this changes for the next region. The cities that do exist, however, as I just said, I really like, so it was kind of hard to choose a favorite, though I chose Konikoni City, mainly because of its Chinese aesthetic. Sure, it's basically just that alley right after you enter through the arch, but it's still well done with the different shops and stores fitting really well into the look of this town. And as with all cities of the Alola region, I wish there was just a bit more to explore here. Maybe just 1 or 2 regular houses of random people living there, because as it is right now, we only get to enter Olivia's, Lana's and Mallow's homes, which all are quite unique though, which is always nice. Especially because Mallow lives in the restaurant her family owns, and I don't really know why, but for some reason I really love visiting the restaurants in Sun and Moon and eating there. It makes the journey feel at least a little bit more realistic. For Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they also added a really fun side quest here, where you have to find and catch the Ditto 5, which isn't just a great quest, but also a really easy way to get useful Ditto for breeding. The runner-up this time has to be Po Town, because although there isn't really anything town-like going on here, the second I saw this walled off city on the official Alola map revealed in June 2016, I knew something important was going to happen here, and I was kinda right. I still wish we got to see a non-vandalized version of it, but sadly this isn't going to happen. Sun and Moon, why do you make it so difficult to love you? And there you have it, my way too complicated list of favorite towns and cities of the mainline Pokémon games. I'd love to know your favorites as well, and hope to entertain you in another video. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye!